This is Diana Sullivan in Austin, Texas. Today I'm going to demonstrate a fancy shell stitch edging that the Brother Company published a number of years ago. Let's go ahead and get started. The needle arrangement for this edging is 3 needles in work, 3 needles out of work in A position, 1 needle in work, 3 needles out of work, and then 3 more needles in work. I'm going to E-wrap over these needles. My carriage is on the right, so I'm going to E-wrap from the left toward the right. I'll start by putting a clothespin on the yarn and wrapping around the first needle, and then just go through the needles in turn. Now to begin with, I am not using my carriage set in hold. My carriage is not set for short rowing. I have the Russell levers in position so that it will knit all the needles, and I need to do 4 rows knitting all the needles. It'll have a little difficulty knitting the needles off unless I put the edge needles in hold. So that was the first row, second row, third row, and fourth row. Once I have the 4 rows done, it's pretty easy to go ahead and hang a weight on each end of the work. Now I need to change the carriage so that it does not knit held needles. I'm using a studio, so I'm putting the Russell levers over to hold. On a Brother, I would go ahead and slide the lever to H for hold. Now this is a simple pattern. You bring out the 3rd from the left needle into hold, the 3rd from the right needle into hold, and you knit 4 rows. Then put them back into upper working position and knit 2 rows. Bring them out into hold again and knit 4 rows. Upper working position, 2 rows. Hold, 4 rows. Upper working position, 2 rows. Now I'm going to repeat this pattern of held stitches and 4 rows and then 2 rows until I get the length I want. The length I want is twice the number of rows as the stitches I'm going to knit along the main garment. When my piece is long enough, I'm just going to bind it off. Now the main fabric will be knitted by hanging this edge and using it as a cast-on for your knitting. Stop and think about it. Just about anything that's holey can be used to hang on the needles and start knitting. For instance, you could use commercial lace from the fabric store. In this case, we've made our own trim. Now, here's what the trim looks like before I hang it on. And now, here's how to hang it on. I'm going to hang the trim so that the wrong side is facing me and the right side is facing toward the back of the machine. And I'm going to take a single transfer tool, unroll the trim, and along the very edge of knitting you will very typically see a loop, then a knot, then a loop, then a knot. I'm picking up the loops only and hanging each loop on a needle. Now this is just one edge of the trim. I'm going to have to pick up both edges of the trim before I start to knit the main fabric. But you see how I'm putting each of the loops, that is the bigger loops, not the little tight knots, on a needle as I work along the edge. Now I'll get these hung on and show you the next step. Here's how it looks when I've hung all the loops from the back edge on the machine. Now I'm pushing the needles back That helps to secure that edge while I work on the front edge, because I'm going to fold this over and hang the front loops on the machine as well. So the first one's always a little tricky to find, but what I like to do is get myself right in the corner. Then for the second one, I'm just unrolling the edge and looking for that first loop and putting that on. I do have to unroll and flatten the edge to see the loops. Once I have all those loops on, I'll come back and show you the next step. That is the cast on for my knitting. It could be as wide as I need it to be, and I simply thread the machine and start knitting from there. One of the things I didn't point out earlier is that this trim is pretty from the knit side, but look, it's pretty from the purl side too. And you'll find that with this green as well. So you could knit your whole garment piece, and I'm going to go ahead and take this off the machine and show you how it turned out. Here are my two samples of the shell stitch from the Old Brother handout. I hope you'll try it. I think it's a very, very pretty edge, and I can imagine using it in all kinds of applications, from girly little dresses to household items.